I like what you said about, like, we think of Vermont as having this idyllic setting. You know, we're the land of like Ben and Jerry's, and in the 70s we had more cows than people here, and it's Bernie land, and everyone's progressive and great, and we have all these dairy farms, and people come to ski, and people come to look at the foliage. But there are darker sides, and I like to flip that on its head and show the darker sides and show what might be hiding in those woods. Make people feel at ease at first, and then kind of show them that maybe that's not really what's going on. Maybe there's something else. And Burntown I began with the character of Neko, and it's set in a small New England mill town. It's set in a small Vermont mill town. And that was something I didn't know a lot about. You know, I'd mostly lived in the country, and I live in Montpelier, Vermont now. So I spent a lot of time exploring mill towns in Vermont and around New England. And I think that my explorations really helped shape the story. I like got down and I was crawling around under bridges and rivers, and I was looking for like the homeless people, and like looking, you know, I got myself into some kind of shady situations here and there. I think I dragged my family on these adventures where we were exploring mill towns, and I'm like, well, there's a bridge. I think I see a sleeping bag. I'm gonna go take a look. I'm gonna go see what's going on down there. Just taking notes and pictures and talking to people and looking at old, you know, New England is full of these old abandoned mills and mill towns, and some of the mill towns are making a great comeback, and some just aren't, you know, some just aren't. And I wanted to capture all that and use the setting as a character and have it influencing the characters. So I had Neko, and I knew that she was living on the streets under this bridge, and I knew that, and again, it's kind of a mother-daughter story in the beginning, right? She's with her mom, and her mom has created this whole mythology about how they got to this place under the bridge and what their lives were like before. And she has to kind of try to see through that mythology to find out what's real and what isn't. But I have a lot of fun with the local legends. You know, I love hearing about real local legends and being inspired. Yeah, I didn't have Hattie in the beginning. I had the couple, Helen and Nate, who are building the house, and the whole premise of that book came to me from my agent and editor came to me and said, what do you think about writing a haunted house book? And I was like, a haunted house book. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, there's so many great haunted house books. And usually it doesn't work that way. Usually they're not like pitching me ideas and telling me what they think I should write. But they're like, wouldn't it be exciting? And my publicist got in on it, and he's like, oh, you could do a haunted house book so well. Wouldn't that be fun? And I started thinking about it, and I was like, yeah. And I'm just thinking about ideas. A couple moves into a haunted house, a couple's renovating a haunted house. And then I thought, wouldn't it be fun if a couple's building a brand new house that turns out to be haunted? And then that got the wheels turning, because it became a challenge then. Like, how do you build a haunted house? How do you build a brand new house that turns out to be haunted? Well, you incorporate haunted things into it, of course. Well, where do those haunted things come from, and how are they found? And do they tell us, what stories do they tell? And what if the stories are all linked somehow? So I started with them building a house, and I started with the objects. And even then I didn't have Hattie yet. I had the land that they lived on, and I knew that it had belonged to someone else. And then she came in as I moved along. I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. This land once belonged to Hattie, and Hattie's got there's a local, I knew there was going to be a local legend. I didn't know exactly what it was. I knew things were going to be creepy, and setting was going to play an important part. But once I had Hattie and the bog, you know, and that's why they got the land for cheap, because so much of it is a wetland area. It's a bog. And again, I had never really explored bogs. I didn't really know what bogs were. And I spent a lot of time that spring and summer mucking around in bogs all over Vermont. And I discovered that we have carnivorous plants in Vermont, which is like the coolest thing to discover in the world. I was like, picture plants, taking pictures of these amazing carnivorous plants, and going to this, bogs are like these weird otherworldly places. And that definitely inspired the book and influenced the book.